Some OPEC countries may boost production to compensate for Russia, and Saudi is reportedly building the world's tallest towers. You're watching the Daily Brief with Forbes. I'm Ramia Faraj. Oil rose to near $115 a barrel this morning as investors assess the future of OPEC+. Ahead of OPEC's meeting tomorrow, analysts believe members may exempt Russia from an agreement to gradually boost oil production as it faces restrictions on exports. This will allow other countries like Saudi Arabia to increase their exports to compensate for the lack of Russian oil. Some OPEC countries are reportedly preparing to boost exports this year. Saudi is reportedly planning on building the world's largest towers in a mostly unpopulated part of the country as part of the $500 billion NEOM development. The twin skyscrapers are 1,640 feet tall. They'll be mixed use with residential, retail, and office space running from the Red Sea coast into the desert. The plan is a shift away from the concept announced last year of building developments linked by underground hyper-speed rail and instead constructing the towers. Billionaire Hussein Sejwani's Damac Group has purchased de Grisogono SA, a Swiss luxury jeweler that filed for bankruptcy in 2020 for an undisclosed amount. Damac says it's also launched a property called Cefa One by de Grisogono in Dubai, featuring cascading waterfalls, hanging gardens, and a man-made beach. The projects are in line with Damac's ambitions to expand into luxury and high-end fashion. The acquisition comes 3 years after Sejwani bought Italian fashion group Roberto Cavalli SPA. Qatar Investment Authority is reportedly in talks to acquire a 20% stake in Dogos Restaurant Entertainment and Management, the parent of Nusret Steakhouse, for $300 million. A deal at this price values the company owned by Turkish billionaire Ferit Sahenk's Dogos Holding at $1.5 billion. Dogos has been trying to secure funds as part of a debt restructuring. In 2020, it sold a 30% stake in a high-end Istanbul shopping center to QIA. Egypt has prohibited third-party trade of wheat, banning sales to any entity or individual other than the government. Officials say any attempt to supply wheat illegally will be confiscated, and those who hoard wheat and refuse to supply it within the official system will be penalized. Governors must communicate with farmers and will be accountable for supplying the intended and declared quantities from their governorates. British retailers raised prices at the fastest pace in more than a decade last month, driven by the rapidly rising cost of food and increased energy and transport costs for stores. Official data shows supermarkets and other large retail chains raised prices 2.8% higher than the year earlier, the biggest annual increase since May 2011. Britain's Consumer Price Index shows inflation hit a 40-year high of 9% in April, off the back of surging energy prices and post-COVID bottlenecks. Japan's 50 richest people saw their collective net worth shrink by nearly a third to $170 billion over the past year. Soaring energy and commodity prices, exacerbated by the war in Ukraine, dashed Japan's hopes of an economic rebound. The yen cratered, falling 17% against the dollar since April 2021. The meltdown extended to the stock market, with the Nikkei declining 12% in the same period. Overall, the wealth of 35 of 38 members of Japan's rich list dropped from a year ago. A new movie that pushes dubious and widely debunked conspiracy theories to bolster Donald Trump's claim that he was robbed of a second term as president has become a surprise hit at the U.S. box office. 2,000 Mules is a film by Dinesh D'Souza, who was convicted of violating campaign finance laws before being pardoned by Trump. The documentary promises to expose widespread coordinated voter fraud in the 2020 election, sufficient to change the overall outcome. I'm Ramia Faraj. This is the Daily Brief. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.